The night was silent, but inside his heart was a storm. As he stood by the window, staring at the small bed where his child slept peacefully, tears filled his eyes. Life had taken so much from him: his dreams, his comfort, his strength, but he had never once thought of giving up, because every tear, every sacrifice, every sleepless night had one reason: his child. Arif was not born with much, but he was born with a will to fight. Life turned cruel when his wife Samira passed away soon after giving birth to their only son, Hamza. Arif was left alone in a world where every day felt heavier than the last. He had never imagined raising a child without her, but now he had no choice. He looked at the tiny fingers wrapped around his, the soft breath on his chest, and a fierce determination ignited within him. With trembling hands, he had promised his newborn, "I will be both your mother and your father. I will give you everything, even if it means giving up everything I have." Days turned into years, and that promise shaped every decision of his life. Arif worked to jobs, morning shifts at a factory and night shifts at a small tea stall. His hands became rough, his body weary, but his heart never stopped beating with love for Hamza. While other children wore neat uniforms, Hamza often went to school in patched clothes. But when the teachers saw the boy's sharp mind and respectful nature, they knew there was something powerful behind his upbringing, an invisible force called a father's sacrifice. There were nights when Arif would come home so tired that he could barely walk. Sometimes he would skip meals just so Hamza could have enough to eat. And yet he never let his son see his pain. "Are you okay, Baba?" Hamza would ask. Arif would smile, hiding his exhaustion. "Of course, my son. When I see you, all my pain disappears." But life tested them more than once. One evening, Hamza fell seriously ill. The doctor's words cut through Arif like a knife. "He needs immediate treatment, and it's not cheap." Arif didn't have enough money, not even close. That night, he stood outside the hospital, feeling the weight of helplessness. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "God, take everything from me, but don't take my child. Please." He sold the only piece of land his father had left him, the last connection to his roots. He borrowed, begged, and worked extra shifts until his body nearly broke. But Hamza recovered. And when the boy opened his eyes, weak but smiling, Arif knew every sacrifice had been worth it. Years passed, and Hamza grew into a young man with dreams bigger than his father could imagine. He wanted to study engineering, something Arif knew he could never afford. But when Hamza shared his dream, Arif placed his weathered hand on his son's shoulder and said, "Don't worry about the money. Worry about your dream." A father's shoulders are made to carry the weight of his child's future. To pay for Hamza's education, Arif worked day and night, even when his health began to fail. There were times he coughed so hard he could hardly breathe, yet he pushed himself forward. Friends told him, "Arif, you're destroying yourself." But he only replied, "If my pain builds his tomorrow, then let it destroy me." The day finally came when Hamza graduated. As he stood on stage, wearing his cap and gown, his eyes searched the crowd. There he saw his father dressed in the same worn-out clothes, sitting proudly in the back row. When Hamza's name was called, he didn't just walk across the stage. He carried his father's sacrifices with him. After the ceremony, Hamza hugged his father tightly. With tears running down his face, he whispered, "Baba, everything I am today is because of you. Every tear you shed, every sacrifice you made, I know it all. I promise. Now it's my turn to take care of you." For the first time in years, Arif allowed his tears to flow freely. But these weren't tears of pain anymore. They were tears of fulfillment, of a father who had given his life away, only to see it bloom in his child's future. Because in the end, every tear, every sacrifice was never a loss. It was love. The kind of love only a parent could understand, the kind that turned suffering into strength and sacrifice into success. At that night, as Arif closed his eyes with peace in his heart, he whispered to himself, "It was all worth it."